If your attempt at healthy eating feels like it requires a lot of willpower or a lot of white knuckling or a lot of like deprivation and restriction, you're going to want to break from it. You have to change the approach. You have to feel like what you're doing is livable, is doable, and dare I even say fairly enjoyable if you want it to be sustainable. Hello, my friends, it's Danny, and today we are out of the kitchen yet again, and we're just doing a little Q&A. I love to connect with you all and to try to help you however I best can. So I'm going to answer some questions that came in, and I'm not going to get to all of them, but what I did was I pulled the ones that were asked repeatedly or the ones that I tend to see over and over again, okay? So we're going to jump right in, and the first question that I wanted to answer was one sent in by Dawn Morantz 4180. She says, I've been following you for many years. I'm grateful for all of your great information. You definitely taught me to cook in my 40s, but I'm wondering how diet changes as we age through menopause and post-menopause. I'm at the post-menopause stage now, and I'm noticing that I need to make a lot of adjustments. I really wanted to answer this one because I too am at this stage in my life. I'm 48 years old. I would say pre-menopause. But I know a lot of women, a lot of questions I get, a lot of the conversations that I am having and seeing are about this topic, so I wanted to touch on it. It's multifaceted, and I will say I do think we need to be thinking about some dietary shifts and some lifestyle shifts if we haven't already. As many of you know, I hired a fitness coach myself almost a year ago, and this was a big part of the motivation for doing that. I really do not want to buy into the narrative that we are supposed to and expected to decline as we age. I am passionate and committed to feeling stronger and more vibrant as I get older. And I want to encourage you to do the same, right? Number one is always mindset. Don't buy into the narrative that it's just a given that we all start to go like downhill after 50. We're just not doing that anymore. There's too much information out there. There's too much knowledge out there, and it just doesn't have to be that way. That's number one. Number two, I do want to encourage everybody to think about movement and exercise. Personally, I think strength training is very important, specifically at this phase in our life, because we want to maintain and possibly build as much muscle mass as we can, because ultimately that's what's going to help you stay active and strong as you age. So many people, when they start to get older, a big part of what creates decline for people is that they fall and they don't have the strength and they slip and they break a bone or they break a hip, and then things begin to decline even faster. So really working on skeletal muscle mass, I think, is important. And if you don't want to strength train, then just find some type of activity and movement that you can do consistently. I do think that should be a priority. But as far as nutrition goes, I would say the main things that you want to be prioritizing are focusing on real whole foods, right? Unprocessed foods as close to their natural state as possible most of the time. I've been saying that for years. Nothing has really changed there, and I still say that that should be the base of the focus. But then you also want to be prioritizing protein. And again, a big part of prioritizing protein is that it's going to help to support the muscle longevity in the body, right? It's going to support that muscle mass, which is going to help us as we get older. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, well, how much protein, what does that look like, right? How much protein should I be having? And I would say a very safe general rule of thumb is to be aiming for 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. And for a lot of people, that might seem like a lot of protein, but once you start focusing on it, you get somewhere between 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal, depending on how many meals you eat a day. It really starts to become a lot easier. And if that's something you want to see more videos on, let me know, because this is something I'm doing in my own life right now, and I'm more than happy to share. If you want to see the way I'm approaching my meal prep these days, or the types of recipes that I'm really making and eating for myself in my day-to-day life, let me know, because we can definitely share more content related to that topic. Okay, so the next question comes from Amy J. Lee, and this one plays off of what we were just talking about perfectly, right? So she's asking, what should I be eating to support and sustain my workouts? And also, what should I eat after my workout to keep the muscle and encourage weight loss and keep up my energy? First of all, I just love the thought process, right? The idea of how do I fuel and sustain and recover from the work I'm putting in during my workouts, right? I think so many women are programmed to think about how do we eat less and how do we try to fast and how do we not intake food. But I want you to be thinking about how can you get stronger and how can you fuel your body, right? So when you think about eating before and after a workout, you really want to be focusing on protein and carbohydrates, right? That's really what we want primarily before and after a workout. Can you have some fat? Absolutely. You don't usually want to have a high fat meal simply because it processes more slowly. It's harder for the body to break down. And before a workout, you really want to be able to uptake and use the energy from that meal to help fuel the workout. Same with after a workout, right? You want that energy to come in and help with the recovery. You don't necessarily want that to be a slow processed type of meal. So what does that look like? It's going to be different for everybody. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing right now, right? Before I go into the gym or before I head into a workout, I aim for 30 grams of protein with 30 grams of carbohydrate. And after my workout, I'm doing the same thing. Now, does that mean that's exactly what you should be doing? No, not necessarily, right? It depends on your activity. It depends on your size, your weight, all of those things. But generally speaking, you do want to be prioritizing protein and carbohydrates. So again, think about this with a more general approach, right? Before you're heading into the gym, you're getting 20 to 30 grams of protein with 25 to 30 grams of carbohydrates. And then after your workouts, you're doing the same. And like everything, you've got to pay attention. You have to pay attention to how you feel, how your body is responding, and then you'll know how to tweak and adjust as needed. But I think that's a really great baseline and a good way to think about it. And you want those pre-workout meals anywhere between 1 to 2 hours before you're exercising, and that post-workout meal, I'd say within an hour after finishing. So what could that look like? For example, today, before I went in to do my workout, I had a collagen coffee. I always put some collagen and creatine in my morning coffee. That gives me about 15 grams of protein with a half of a Dave's bagel, you know, the Dave's Killer Bagels, which had 4 or 5 grams of protein in it. And then I topped that with some peanut butter. And that got me about 30 grams of protein doing that. And then when I came home from the gym, I made my favorite semi-homemade protein pancake, which I have shared with you all in the past, and I will link for you down in the description box below. So it can just be that easy, right? And things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, egg whites, right? These are all really easy, accessible protein sources where you can make simple, delicious meals. I also love as the weather gets warmer, you can make your favorite smoothie, add in a big old scoop of protein powder. Delightful. The next question comes from user unknown 4484, and she wants to understand, she wants to understand why I keep falling off the wagon of healthy eating and how I can avoid it. I start the week by eating really healthy, and then at the end of the week, I go stuffing everything in sight because of cravings, and then I end up gaining all my weight back. Okay, so my very first thought here is that you are probably creating a lot of food rules for yourself that's creating a lot of stress and a lot of white knuckling it when you're eating healthy, right? We have to remember that eating well, eating healthy, it's a skill set, just like anything, right? It takes practice. It takes a little bit of attention and awareness. And we can't make these all or nothing, very black and white decisions about food, right? So my guess is when you're trying to eat healthy, you are confusing that with being perfect, right? That if you're eating healthy, that means you never have a cookie or you never have a donut or you never have the burger or the ice cream. And so what happens is when we're trying to eat healthy, and that's what we think healthy is, the minute we eat something that we don't deem as healthy, we bring up all of those negative emotions, right? The guilt, the shame, the frustration, the overwhelm, the helplessness, and then that effort mentality kicks in, right? That we kind of go into that self-sabotage idea that we're just not doing well, we're not eating healthy, we ruined the whole thing. And that's when we quote unquote fall off the wagon. But when you really shift that process, that thought process, to understanding that healthy eating does not mean that you eat perfectly. It means that you make healthy choices as often as you can, consistently over a long period of time. And when you have foods that don't align with what you deem as healthy, you eat them, you enjoy them, and then you just continue your healthy eating practices, right? I can tell you for sure, if your attempt at healthy eating feels like it requires a lot of willpower or a lot of white knuckling or a lot of like deprivation and restriction, you're gonna wanna break from it. right? You're gonna want to have a release from that energetic state, which means you have to change the approach. You have to feel like what you're doing is livable, is doable, and dare I even say fairly enjoyable if you want it to be sustainable. I think a lot of people confuse consistency with perfection. Right? Consistency does not mean that you are perfect. Consistency means that no matter what takes place at any given time, you continue to move forward with your healthy eating habits. I am a big believer that healthy eating is really such a small percentage of the conversation needs to be about food, because most of us know, like generally speaking, what healthy foods look like and when we're eating healthy, etc. I know what I have found for myself and with many of my clients, so much of the work to be done around healthy eating is about mindset and emotions and feelings, right? And learning how to have a healthy relationship with food, and more importantly, have a healthy relationship with ourselves. This is exactly why I started my second YouTube channel, which is simply called Danny Spees, because that is where I really do a deep dive into the conversation about health, wellness, and weight loss for more of a mindset perspective, because for so many of us, that's where the obstacles lie. So make sure to check that channel out if that's something you want to learn more about. And here on Clean and Delicious, we're going to try to focus more on food. Okay, so the next question comes from Imanahole662. I think that's how you say it. Do you think your healthy diet helps with your skin? You have no wrinkles. Can you share your skincare routine? Okay, so this one doesn't have a ton to do with food, but I'm answering it because I get so many questions about my skincare routine. So many questions. So many of you have asked me to do a video on my skincare, and I do not do it because I'm not a skincare expert. I don't really even always know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I've just picked up information around the way, and I practice applying different little bits. So here's what I can offer you to try to be of some help. Do I think a healthy diet helps your skin? Absolutely. I definitely think drinking a lot of water helps your skin. That is also very helpful. As far as skincare goes, I do have a rather thorough skincare routine, right? I have a morning routine and an evening routine. But just so you know, most of that information that I have gathered, most of what I have learned about taking care of my skin, I have learned right here on YouTube from Angie at Hot and Flashy. She has a YouTube channel. Many of you probably already know who she is. I will link to it down below. She has a morning routine video and an evening routine video. And not only does she walk you through what she does, but she explains why she does everything and what ingredients are proven to do what for your skin. And she really dives into all the details. It can feel like a lot of information when you first watch, but I've just watched over the years and I slowly, learn and apply and learn and apply. So think of it as like a long game. That's the way I would think about it. I will link her videos down in the description box below. You can check them out and just slowly, learn about what she's talking about and then apply what you find to be helpful. I know some people also want to know whether or not I get Botox. The answer is yes, I do. I get it in my forehead and a little bit right here. About 3 times a year. So that is something that I do. And honestly, if you go back and look at my videos from years ago, you will see that I have a lot more wrinkles in my forehead than I do today. So I'm not saying that you should get Botox, but I do get Botox. So I would say yes, a healthy diet, plenty of water, a good quality skincare routine. Check out Hot and Flashy, and that would be your baseline. And then yes, I personally do get Botox. So let's do one more question. And then if you all enjoy this style Q&A video, let's keep the conversation going. Come to the comments below. Let me know. We can incorporate more of these in the future. If you have more specific questions you would like me to answer, pop them in the comment section. If there's any type of video you want to see, do you want to see more of what I'm eating in a day? Do you want to see more meal prep? Let me know. I'm here to help, right? I want to be able to create videos that you find helpful. So come chat with me in the comments because I will read all of your feedback and we will apply it. Okay, so the next and the final question for this video that we're going to chat about is from Hema Pentakota. There's a lot of talk around avoiding any kind of sweet breakfast, including carbs and cereals. This to avoid a glucose spike first thing in the morning. I'm not diabetic, but I'd like to know your opinion on this. I often batch cook healthy breakfasts for my children, and usually it's sweet. I'm trying to shift my eating habits to include more protein, vegetable, and good fats as a savory breakfast. Okay, so like all nutritional questions, it's nuanced, right? There's never just like a black and white answer, in my opinion, when it comes to nutrition. First of all, your body is designed to have a glucose spike when it eats something sweet or when it has a meal that's high in carbohydrate, right? That's what your body does. It's also designed to then release insulin to bring that spike down. Okay, so it is natural to have a spike in blood sugar if you're eating a meal that is high in sugar and or carbohydrates. And that doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Now, if that blood sugar is constantly spiked and your body is not releasing insulin and moving it out of the blood, efficiently over periods of time, well, then that might be something you want to consider. But like you said, you're not diabetic. You didn't say anything about having a weight problem or any challenges with this other than you're reading information and thinking that maybe now you're doing something wrong, okay? We have to zoom out in a day, in a week, in a month. If you're eating a breakfast that is rich in carbohydrate, and you enjoy that breakfast and you feel good after that breakfast and you're not struggling with energy or satiety or weight or any health issues, I don't see why it would be a problem so long as you are balancing your foods throughout the day, right? So maybe you're having a breakfast that is rich in carbohydrate, and then at lunch, you're having a beautiful, chicken or salmon salad with lots of vegetables and protein and healthy fats, right? There's never just one right or wrong way to think about food. I think that's what gets people into a lot of trouble. I think the more important question you want to be asking yourself is, how does it work for you? Do you enjoy it? How do you feel when you are done eating? Do you stay satisfied for several hours? Does it get you to lunch, right? Or on the flip side, do you eat a breakfast like that and you're crashing an hour later? Your energy is dipping, you're feeling very hungry or even a little bit hangry, right? Those would be signs that maybe a breakfast like that isn't a great choice for you. But again, there's never just a one goes right, goes wrong type of answer. Personally, I've shared with you what I am doing right now. So for me, because I want to increase my protein, it's easier to really think about how can I get protein on the plate at every meal, because it just makes it easier to get that protein in throughout the day, right? That's what I'm doing right now. That's what's working for me. It might be different, right? Whatever your lifestyle it is or whatever your personal goals are right now. So as always, I'm always going to encourage you guys to take a broader perspective about nutrition and think about the baseline of what creates a healthy diet first things first. And if you haven't watched already, we shared recently a video on how to make healthy eating easier. It's 3 simple steps, and I think that these 3 steps are what you want to look at before you start trying to micromanage every little tiny detail. So take a look at that video if you haven't already. Again, I will link it in the description box below. Okay, so I could do this all day, but I don't want to make this a super long video, but I do love chatting with you all. This is very fun to me. So if you want to do more Q&As, again, let me know down in the comment section below. And if you have anything specific you want to know or you want to see, share it in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Danny Spees, and I'll see you back here next time with some more clean and deliciousness, food for thought, another video. Cheers!